You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey here with all the latest going on around the NFL as training camps are underway. But there was nothing more impactful in terms of the NFL world today than the Deshaun Watson suspension news. The Browns quarterback suspended 6 games by the quote-unquote independent arbitrator Judge Sue Robinson, and that is the current standing for Watson. Now, there's a lot more that could go on here. We'll know in the coming days. The NFL has the option to appeal, but they have not announced plans on if they will do that or not. The NFLPA has said they will not appeal, sue, whatever. They're just going to accept it and try to move on. The NFL, meanwhile, may or may not go that route. As things sit right now, Deshaun Watson will miss these 6 games. At Carolina, potential Baker Mayfield revenge game in Week 1. Week 2 against the Jets. Thursday Night Football, Week 3, home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. On the road, Week 4 against Atlanta. Another team that wanted Deshaun Watson real bad and did not get him. Had not gone to the Browns, but the Falcons would have landed him. Week 5, home against the Chargers. And Week 6, home against the Patriots. Now, the rules are the NFL has 3 days to make their appeal. So we will know whether or not that will happen in a matter of a few days, if it's 6 games or potentially more. And it's emphasis on the potentially more part because NFL discipline's weird, guys. An appeal goes directly to one Roger Goodell, which means the NFL, if they so choose, can simply assign whatever punishment that they want. Although, it would not set a good precedent in the first ruling from the new independent arbitrator to say, you know what, we disagree, we're enacting, judge, jury, executioner stuff, which, after all, was a big reason why they put this new system into place, to avoid a potentially going rogue like they allegedly went with one Zeke Elliott. So will the NFL appeal the Deshaun Watson ruling? Y for yes or N for no? Sound off for me in the comments section. If it is only 6 games or more, I suppose Jacoby Brissett is the next man up at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He is the backup for this team, and they're probably not going to look elsewhere. A lot of questions like, oh, keep Baker. They knew they wanted Brissett to be the guy here for the backup role for Deshaun Watson. Now, this is the part that I am blown away by. This is reported by Tom Pelissero this morning and confirmed in the judge's, brief report, whatever we want to call it, on the decision, that Deshaun Watson must get all of his massages from the club massage therapists. He's not allowed to go get them from Instagram, whatever. This is wild to me because what this says is the judge clearly views Deshaun Watson's actions and everything as problematic. Without calling him that in the briefing, she calls him a predator. That's what's going on. That they do not trust him to be allowed to get massages from other people, and he only got 6 games. There's a disconnect there for me. And the way I view it is this. If you think Deshaun Watson did it, then 6 games is way too light of a suspension. If you think he didn't do it, then it's way too long of a suspension. 6 games kind of feels like that's the personal conduct violation, so that's what we're going to stick with. Kind of feels like the middle ground to me. So what do you guys think of the 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson? S for it's too short, L for it's too long, or R for it's just right. This is the pinned comment on today's show. You know the deal. If the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk Kyler Murray from one quarterback to the other here. Murray was upset over the leak, the reporting of what I call the classroom clause in his contract. As y'all know, Kyler Murray got the bag from Arizona, but part of that contract at the time was that Murray had to spend 4 hours each week studying film without his laptop or video games being pulled up, and that threw everybody into a stir-fire craziness on Twitter. Memes galore. Was hilarious to me. But the Cardinals have since removed the clause for Murray, who, by the way, quick note, is also out at camp due to COVID right now. It's not a good look for either side. But who looks worse, in your opinion? Type in KM for Kyler Murray, or type in ARI for the Arizona Cardinals? Sound off in the comments section. I do think both sides look bad. I do think in the end, the Cardinals felt that they needed that in the contract, that they wanted that. They specifically inserted totally unheard of language into their contract. If they were so concerned about their franchise guy not studying, not doing his job, they needed a classroom clause that could have given them an out. Why did they pay Kyler Murray? Why? That is such an enormous red flag. Do you really want to commit the amount of money you did for a guy that clearly you don't have concerns for? Or you have concerns over? By the way, for Kyler Murray, he's got to play better down the stretch. That's a big problem for him. And it was a big issue for Arizona. The leaks from the own organization about the way he played down the stretch. He plummeted. Started the year so hot, borderline MVP pace, and then the back half of the year, not nearly as good. The level of apparent distrust between Murray and the Cardinals is unheard of for a contract that size. And there is, by the way, some funny, I think it's more correlation than causation, and it's also Cliff Kingsbury's bad in the second half of the year overall for his career, but Murray doesn't play as well after the new COD gets released each year. That's the fantasy numbers out there. May or may not be the reason why he's not played as well. Now, folks, we're also on Rumble. We have free and uncensored content, including NFL Daily After Hours, a weekly live segment filmed exclusively on Rumble. So give us a follow for free at rumble.com/NFL Daily. That link's in the live comments and in the description as well. Let's talk about A.J. Brown, who was very upset on social media. He sounded off after Deebo Samuel got paid, and A.J. Brown couldn't resist throwing shade towards, apparently, the Titans once again. Here's what A.J. Brown tweeted. Basically, all of us got the same contract, and I'm the only one who got traded. Yeah, keep believing it was me. Anywho, go Birds, #carry on. A.J. Brown sounds like the guy who broke up with his girlfriend. Even though he's engaged to somebody else and happily engaged, allegedly, he can't quite move on properly. He's gone. A.J. trying to throw shade always towards Tennessee and their fans is a little weird to me now at that point. With that said, he is right. The A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and Terry McLaurin contracts are all pretty much the same. Brown's deal is longer, which means it's a bit more expensive AP or average per year wise, but you're talking no more than $2 million max to min. That's about the average you add for a new year. So A.J. Brown is right that Tennessee was cheap. Also, man, focus on Philly. Move on. Let the past be the past if you need to. So we'll answer another who looks worse question today, which I find fun. Is it A.J. Brown or the Tennessee Titans? Type in AJ for A.J. Brown or TEN for the Tennessee Titans. And we have daily NFL videos for you guys here, and we're ramping up our coverage as the preseason and the games that matter finally approach. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe right here on YouTube at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's move to Orlando Brown. The Chiefs franchise tag left tackle has ended his holdout. He's reporting to the KC organization, and he'll be there for camp as that gets ramped up here in a little bit. It was only a matter of time before Brown showed up because, well, simply put, he has no more leverage. There's nothing Brown can do to get paid right now. There's nothing. He is on-the-field play could impact it, but he's a franchise tag player. He's not subject to fines, which is good for him, but he can't actually get paid since the franchise tag deadline has passed. He will command a likely second franchise tag next year and maybe a big-time new deal. That leaves four notable players who are still among, as we sit here from this, the holdouts/hold-ins. Jesse Bates is a holdout, much like Orlando Brown, franchise tagged. He is unhappy with the Bengals. He is not at camp. Because he has not signed his tag, he can actually hold out and avoid a situation where he misses out on getting fined. Derwin James, Deontay Johnson, and Roquan Smith are all present at camp but not participating. The new hold-in, to quote Marshawn Lynch, they're just there so they don't get fined. So of these four guys, who is most likely to pay their player next. Now, Jesse Bates is your long shot. He's the franchise tag guy. Can't pay him quite this second, but maybe no deal comes for other guys. Is it Deontay Johnson and the Steelers? If so, type in PIT. Is it Derwin James and Chargers? If so, type in LAC. I think it's the Bears and Roquan Smith. Type in CHI. Some surprising news earlier today from Ian Rappaport here and Mike Garafolo. The Bears have received calls and have held trade talks centered around offensive tackle Teven Jenkins, which is telling me Mike Garafolo. The former second-round pick has drawn interest because of his potential, a situation to watch. This is fascinating to me because this is a second-round pick, a top 40 guy, didn't play much last year, was banged up. There are injuries, some alleged maturity concerns. In general, you do not hear about these types of trade calls and talks being leaked unless the team that has the player already wants to move on. 99 times out of 100, it's because the offers aren't what they want. So, I think that means the Bears are done with Teven Jenkins and a new regime, and they already want to, which is wild to me, given how impactful he is. He's an important part, I thought, of their offense. He's already not a starter on the depth chart. So do not rule out a potential Teven Jenkins trade. Injury concerns are real, but keep an eye on that one being an actual deal that goes down. One last note before we go. Sportico has named the top 10 most valuable NFL teams. The Broncos just sold for $4.65 million. They are number 10. Eagles at 9. Commanders at 8. That's kind of surprising to me. The Jets at 7. The Bears at 5. The Niners, or the Bears at 6, right in front of me. Niners at 5. Giants at 4. Patriots 3. The Rams, fresh off the title in the new stadium, they're number 2. And the Dallas Cowboys by a big-time margin, $7.64 billion. By the way, if any of those 9 teams were to actually be sold, I think they would sell for a lot more than their current valuation.